losing Jared, the domino effect that's had on everything else, how has that affected your offense in general?
Well, again, we're just still searching for the right pieces up front, and you go into the season every year with a plan on how you think that you can put those players in a position to be successful. And when one goes down, you may have to make adjustments along the way. But to me, that's the NFL. We're not the only team that will suffer injuries or has suffered an injury, and I'm sure there'll be other players throughout the season that will go down for us. So we'll continue to try to fill that role, which it'll be a difficult role to fill, and someone's going to have to step in there and fill those shoes. But philosophically speaking, do we feel like we have the players right now? You'll never, right now, with Jared, he was obviously an important piece of what we're trying to do, but we feel like right now, and we'll take a look at Alex Barron and again continue to evaluate him as we move forward.
Do you, when you lose a guy as key as Jared is, do you say, look, we're still going to do what we do no matter who we have in there, or do you say?
No, we'll still look at. A lot of what we, again, going into the season, the power scheme, the gap schemes that we're doing, Jared was an important part of that. We didn't really get a real chance last week to evaluate that part of the game as much as we would like to. Again, we'll continue here these last two preseason games, and more specifically tomorrow's game a little bit to try and see if that is going to be something that we will continue to expand upon.
That's such a big part of that was Darren also. What have you seen from Darren?
Oh, Darren's been great, to be honest with you. He's been great, and really the entire offense. We haven't seen players. Certainly they felt the loss of Jared, and he was a popular teammate in the offensive side of the ball, but they see it the same thing, as they understand the business, and they know it's, you go back to work and someone's got to be challenged to step in and take that spot.
With what you've seen from Terrell, do you see him having an expanded role, more so maybe than you did originally when you first came here?
We're still kind of tinkering with that toy. We've liked some of the things. We did some things in the first game that we were pleased with. We went in the second game and tried some other schemes that were, you looked at them and say they maybe weren't as successful as they were in that first week. But again, we changed up, and we'll continue to change up this week and do some different things this week with him, so that we have an entire package. But each week we're just trying to expose a little bit with Terrell, add a little bit to the initial package that we had in for him.
The issues on the offensive line, injuries and otherwise, does that in any way change how you decide to use Terrell Pryor?
I think it changes how we're going to use everybody, to be honest with you. It'll impact how you use Darren McFadden. It'll impact how you use Marcel Reese. You don't lose a player like that and think that you're not going to have to change some things or do some things differently.
Coach, at the tight end position, what's it looking like right
now? Yeah, we were starting to clear that up. We felt like Dave Osbury certainly was having a good football camp, and now, again, it'll be, with Richard Gordon in there and Jared Mastrud, they're in the battle for the number one spot. We liked the emergence of our young tight ends. It was good to get Nick Casa back, but we like the young tight ends right now and how they've come along. But really, we'll take a good hard look at Richard Gordon and Jared Mastrud this week.
Denarius Moore's been there almost since college, where he's had like a couple 200-yard games, but didn't get to 1,000. And then with the Raiders, he has games where he's spectacular, and then a few games where he kind of goes away. And then what is it going to take for him to be a consistent player?
Well, a lot of it's going to be on Denarius. To me, it's that whole character issue of becoming a self-starter and becoming a self-motivated person, and a lot of it comes with maturity. I think that he'd be the first guy to say that, and we are constantly on top of him, and it's hard to give somebody like that any space, so we just try to coach him up. And but I think he's becoming a more mature player and a more mature person, so I think that's going to help as well. I think a lot of players, will tell you if they're fortunate enough to stay in the league for any length of time, they will all tell you, boy, I wish I had been more mature as a younger player, and I think that maturity will help Denarius.
That being said, is he or anybody else distinguish themselves in your mind as a number one guy? Or do you?
I still think there's a battle going on there. I think it may be, by committee somewhat at the wide receiver position. Has there been any one guy that stepped up above everybody else? Not at this point. Again, we like the emergence of Bryce Butler. We like some things Denarius has done. We haven't had a chance to see really Jacoby and Jerron Kreiner, two guys that we haven't had a chance to see much of. So, we still got some guys. Obviously, Rod Streeter has been the most consistent for us thus far, but we've got to get some guys healthy, and we've got to get a chance to try and evaluate them.
Has Flynn been about what you expected going in? Has he given you pretty much what you thought you would see?
Yeah, he's been steady throughout this training camp, and that's Matt Flynn, and he's been about what we've expected.
Coach, you talk about maturity. Is Streeter demonstrated some of that maturity?
Oh, tremendous maturity. Yeah, I think like I said, when you're talking about self-starters and self-motivated people, and Rod Streeter's that guy. In that room, to me, he's the leader in that room, just based upon his work ethic, his preparation, and the way he approaches the game. Happy with Rod Streeter.
How big was that drive at the end of the first half for Flynn and for the offense?
Oh, it was real big. Certainly, when you have the 3 and outs that we had, and then to go, if you remember, we started that drive on a 3rd and 15. So, thankfully we converted that 3rd and 15 on a heads-up play by Bryce Butler and by Matt Flynn on going on a hard count and getting the jump off sides, and then to get the first down and then get into a rhythm and finish the drive was big for certainly the confidence of the quarterback and the offense as a whole.
Good, guys?
That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks.